Well, hello. Today we're going to talk about chemotherapy and trying to be prepared for it, or some of the things to expect from the actual chemotherapy itself. Not from the long-term effects, not from what's going to happen to your body standpoint, but just the actual event itself. And I'm going to talk about three different areas. I want to talk about the expected nausea, I want to talk about the process, and I want to talk about where to sit, of all things. First off, the nausea. As I saw on TV, before ever going to chemotherapy, I always heard about people getting very sick and very nauseous after chemotherapy. And that may be the case for a lot of people. It certainly was not the case for me. I think due in large part, first off, to the medications I was getting, which was cisplatin, which is liquid platinum. Kind of hard to picture putting a heavy metal in your system. You know, I'm a child of the 80s, so I've got heavy metal in my system, but not in my blood system. So it was weird the thought of putting a heavy metal in my system. But they also gave me, long before I got the cisplatin, so the first 4 hours of it was actually just hydration and potassium and this anti-nauseous medication. And then finally little Lasix, and then the cisplatin. Then some more hydration, actually. Which brings me to the second point, where to sit. And this is important. I learned this after the first time. If your oncology center lets you, and they did for me, choosing your seat. Choose a seat directly next to the bathroom. It may sound silly, but sometimes the little things matter when you're going through something like this. The two advantages of sitting next to the bathroom is, first off, you will know if it's occupied, because who wants to need to go, get up and roll that rack with all those liquids on it and all these tubes that get caught up and stuff, and then have to stand there and wait for somebody else to finish. You know, I don't know about you. I sure don't want to. So you know if it's occupied, first off. And second off, by being right next to the bathroom, you are, well, right next to the bathroom. You stand up, take a couple steps, open the door, take care of business, turn around, take a couple steps, sit back down. Why is that important? First off, because you're not taking a lot of steps. But second off, once the Lasix hits and the cisplatins in your system and you start getting all the hydration, it could be every 2 to 3 minutes that you need to go take care of things. And it's important that you do. The doctors and everybody will tell you that the cisplatin is really bad for your kidneys. And so flushing that out of your kidneys right away and the rest of that night and the next day is really, really, really important. Again, I'm not a medical professional. This is what I've been told. If you're told any different by your doctors or medical team, follow their advice, not mine. This was my experience. And so I did, and I had to go probably for a period of 15 to 20 minutes, or maybe more. It was every 2 minutes after the Lasix and the final hydration there. So by sitting right next to the bathroom, it was very easy. I could just get up, do it, get back in my seat, and no time wasted. And plus, if I did have to go quickly, I was able to just take 2 steps and I was right there. So again, it's a little thing. It may even sound silly to you, but I'd strongly recommend, if you can, sit near the bathroom. Finally, the IV itself. And this is a little bit of a scary part. I mean, if you haven't gone through this yet, this is probably the part that's kind of sound not so fun, because it isn't. It's not like a normal IV. Now, first off, if you've got one of these, what do they call them, PICC lines, you won't need to worry about this at all. You've already got something to worry about. You got a PICC line. It'll make some things easier, some parts of life more difficult, but as far as the chemo and all that stuff, it'll make it significantly easier. I did not have one of those. I had an IV every time. And it's not like a normal IV with it. They just stick something in the back of your hand, put a piece of tape over it, and do what they have to do. This IV, I don't know the physics of it, but there's something special about the needle. And the needle has to go, not only puncture the skin and then puncture the vein, but then has to go into the vein some distance. I don't know what that distance is, but some distance. That's where it gets weird, because you can literally feel them feeling where to put that needle. It's about 8 to 10 seconds for me of pain. I didn't like it. I fretted over it. The first time I did it, it took them 4 times to get it in the right place. And my veins are easy to find. It's not the matter of finding the vein that's the hard part. It's getting it in the vein, not puncturing the vein, in the vein. That's the skillful part for the medical professionals. And I take nothing away from the people that were doing it. They were great professionals, great people. But it's not an easy task for them. And so if you do have to find a nurse that does it really well the first time, you can, in my case, I was able to ask for that nurse each time with being respectful to my other nurse. I didn't want my other nurse to think that I thought she was incompetent, but I would ask for this one young lady named Cindy, who was very kind and would always come on over and do my IV for me. Um, so it's not fun, that part, to be honest with you. But once that's over, the next 5 6 hours is easy. We're just sitting there doing nothing. I took a tablet. I'd watch Netflix, or I'd play some Scrabble, or I'm a soccer fan, so I watch some soccer games. And before I knew it, the time was up, honestly. So, take a tablet with you if you have that, or a Kindle, for something to read, something to do. You don't need to, in my opinion, you don't need to take a whole suitcase full of things to do. It's only a couple hours, and you'll be occupied. You can always sleep if you want to, until the Lasix gets in there. Also, if you don't have the PICC line, if you get in the IV, make sure you shave your arms, because they use a lot of adhesive, because the needle really has to sit still, and so there's a lot of adhesive. And of course, you can imagine what happens with hair and adhesive when it comes off. So I shaved my forearms, both my forearms, because I never knew where the needle was going to go at any particular time. So I strongly recommend to go ahead and shave those as well. If you have any comments about your experience or relative to my experience, but by all means, please leave them down below. We can have some conversations, discussions about that. If you're a medical professional and you have anything to add, pro or con anything I've said, by all means, please leave that down below. Remember, if you're willing to subscribe and click the like button on this, I would really appreciate that. Again, not for me. The idea for these videos is to help people in the future when they get their diagnosis and they come home and they search on Google for information about their tonsil cancer or HPV or radical neck dissection, whatever that may be. I'd like to see some of these videos become options for them to read or to watch, in addition to Cancer Survivor Network, CSN, which is a hugely resourceful website that I used daily, and I still have it daily on my computer. It's one of my homepage tabs. I check it all the time, especially because I'm looking for newbies, people that are just starting to go through the process, because for me, it's cathartic to take my experience and share my experience with some of these people who are sitting there like I was a year ago, wondering, what the heck am I in for now? And I like to try to provide my experience that way. And if you're going through it or fixing to go through it, maybe when you're done, you'll want to do the same kind of thing. It's kind of for me, it's something I want to do. There's no moral judgment if you don't want to. It's just what I want to do. So thank you for spending the time watching this. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to doing some more videos on different topics. And if you have topic ideas, by all means mention those, and go to CSN, present your questions there, and there'll be a lot of good people who want to help out and answer. There's a lot of people that sit and monitor that daily. All right. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Recover well. Keep a great attitude. And above all, never, ever give up.